everybody, welcome back to the Fans in Motion podcast, our little corner of the internet for Hot Night Ranger Talk, the only podcast that you didn't know you needed.
Yeah, you did. You knew you needed it.
You just didn't know where to find it.
Yeah, that's right.
I say to my two friends, I'm looking at you, Blaupunk blasting my favorite song, Sun Shining Down, hot and strong. Yeah, why don't you drive? Baby, here's the key. Just slide on in, Mama. This one's on me. Over here. Say hello, Josh.
Yo, a little bit of Sweet Hitchhiker.
From the one and only Sammy Hagar, co-written by one Brent.
David Lauser.
David Lauser. Which brings me to what we're talking about today. This is a David Lauser. This is which one? Part 3, correct?
This will be part 3, but this was actually recorded a few days after we talked to him in September. But the first interview went so long, we split it into 2 episodes, and we kind of had this third one sitting there, and we were going to reconnect with David again and kind of see what we were going to do with it all. And just schedules never matched up, and then with Greg passing away, we kind of held off a little bit, because during this interview with David, we connect David and Greg during the interview.
Right.
And if you haven't watched part 1 and 2, go back and watch part 1 and 2, because you'll see how they basically played in the same area. Greg was an influence on David. And now when you see Greg was on an old laptop, and he didn't know where the volume button was. So for him to be able to hear, he had to get really up close to it, which is fine. And that was part of,
his charm, man.
Man.
You could see his pores even. So
yeah,
well, that's good. It was
fun, man. It was a great time.
It was a good time, and we didn't know it at the time, but Greg would be gone just a couple months later, so it's nice that we got that. That was the last time we were able to really connect with him. I had talked to him, I think, a little bit after that, and had planned on him coming back and talking about just some real specific Rubicon stuff, some of their TV shows and that they had performed on, and we never got to that point. So going back and editing this, we kind of have we have David sharing some more of those early Night Ranger stories about living with Jeff and Fitz before Night Ranger took off. We even got some Damn Yankees talk. We learned that he auditioned for Damn Yankees, which was something I had never heard. Remember, this is also before Eddie Van Halen passed away, so there is some, is it Farm Aid? Live Aid 85?
Farm Aid. Yep.
because
it's
pulling motherfuckers out there.
It's one of the aids. Him performing with Eddie Van Halen. He talks about being with Sammy and hearing some of this early Van Halen stuff before it was ever released to the public.
Before they even released that he was going to be the singer,
and
they were already recording.
And he talks about him and Sammy's relationship after Sammy joins Van Halen, and we get into the start of Alliance, which was the band that included David and Alan Fitzgerald of Night Ranger. So he tells some great Fitz stories and them getting together with Alliance. So just another, and remember, like I said, this was before Greg passed and before Eddie Van Halen passed when we recorded this. So just some great stories that we still wanted to get out there. So hence David Lauser 3.
Yeah, and kudos to both of you guys. I mean, Josh for lining up Eckler, and someone who I would have never really been on my radar. And you put that together, and I think you and Brent both were instrumental in getting Lauser on. And, you know, it all ties into this little Night Ranger universe that we're having. But the best thing about it, and, again, if people aren't watching all the episodes, you're missing out on these these great rock and roll stories. That's, I mean, besides the fact that there's a Night Ranger connection. So kudos to both of you guys for lining up these Eckler and Lauser interviews. I just do sit here and dance.
And what's
You'll
great?
get somebody in that. You'll get somebody in Nashville. You'll
Well,
get somebody. You'll find somebody.
I'm gonna talk to my neighbor. He's a producer. See what he does.
Is he really?
Yeah.
What's great about these stories is, you know, if you talk to, you know, Sammy Hagar or you know, some of these names, you're probably going to get the same kind of molded
Pat answers.
Yes.
Standard answers.
to where you talk to someone like Greg or David, you're really getting, you know, beneath the surface and hearing these great stories about songs and bands and individuals that we enjoy and love. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the beauty about these conversations. They're not the standard.
Oh.
You know, like Dave said, you guys didn't even ask how many girls did you bang. Then on that first time we was down and spoken to him, and that's what was the beauty of it, because he was more forthcoming. You know.
Yeah. It was fantastic. So anyway, it's I can't wait to actually rewatch this interview. So let's move on to the last episode we put out was the ranking of Neverland, which I really enjoyed, although I'm still struggling with my choices. Have you guys gotten any thoughts or feedback that you want to talk about on this one?
Well, a lot of people that posted, kind of, when I mentioned that there were 6 songs I thought were not as strong as other 6, it seemed like maybe 2/3 of the people seemed to agree with me that
Kind of proved your point.
5 out of the 6 songs that I said were not as strong as the other 6 were in their bottom half as well. Yeah. Not everyone, and that's what makes it great. One thing I noticed, it seemed like New York Time was either 1, 2, or 3 on someone's list, or it was the bottom 3. There's like no middle ground for New York Time. But yeah, it's interesting because like me and Brent had Walk in the Future as number 1, and there was, I know, some individual that had it last on at the very end.
And I don't agree with that either.
But
I don't want that kind of negativity on my Facebook page.
But that's what's great. It's cool to see someone had Sunday Morning as their number 1 song, and it's just.
I think I may have been the only person who had Neverland as their number 1 song. I do think that was correct.
There was someone that had Neverland.
There was somebody else.
Was there?
But
I
there,
go back and look at that post and love that post and tell them you're my new friend.
Well, I felt so good because the first post was Dave Nadelman. And actually it was great because he had made the comment, which other people started doing the same thing. He was going to rank it before he watched us.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at his list and I'm like, oh, we've got some similar stuff going on, you know. And Josh even made a comment. You know, you're syncing up with Brent pretty much there or something, whatever you said.
Well, you guys, there was something that was not going to be number 1 song. There was something, I made the point to Nadalman that his list was very similar in mine, that those 6 songs I said were more towards the bottom. His were very much like that, and yeah, something about you guys synced up. I can't remember exactly why. But yeah, that's what's great about being a fan, is seeing
great minds.
Trying to look something up while we're talking here real quick. Hang on.
All right, well,
it was Mark Greenway. Did y'all catch his story about how he got Neverland in Amsterdam?
I saw that he posted something with photos, but I haven't got to read it yet.
Yeah, he just talks about his travels to Amsterdam. I won't elaborate, but Mark Greenway, him and I talk a little bit here and there because I get a kick out of him, and I'm so curious about what it's like to be a fan of a band that you don't really get to see much, you know, because he's in England, and he's such a fan, and then he talks about like he's in Amsterdam and he's at a cafe and he's like, man, just put my headphones on. I was listening. You know, I guess he had a Sony Discman at that time, so But I enjoyed his story. Go back and read. I did love how there was a lot of fan interaction for this one. At least it seems to be, and I wish these are the episodes that I want to just soar, because I was telling Josh in a separate conversation, Brent, about how this is what you and I would do. We would debate albums and bands and rankings, and I know some people may not get a kick out of it, but this is the stuff I think, this episode's going to just soar and take off, and I love to see everybody's lists. I love to, and not in a negative way or argumentative way. It's like, I didn't think about that, and see how some people think. Some people think "Forever All Over Again" is one of the best songs they've written. So I enjoy that, and I love just the fan interaction on these episodes. So,
yeah, I thought it was funny that Nadelman, or Nadelman, as you say, today he had posted, somebody had ranked all the albums, and I was laughing because somebody commented, "I don't see the point in ranking anything."
I know.
And I'm like, well, you ain't gonna like our episodes. But you know what? You rank everything in life. Everything is ranked. If you coach a football team, you put your best players on the field. You don't put the backups on the field unless the best ones get hurt. They're ranked.
I rank. If you're a Cincinnati guy, you rank chili parlors. Skyline's clearly the best. Everything else is below it.
Listen, it's our rankings don't mean shit. It's for fun.
Absolutely.
And you guys, I probably come off a little bit more critical because you guys are like homers all the way, it seems like. So
a little bit.
I kind of up it a little bit just to go in the other direction, but no one's bashing anything. I mean, there's nothing really of Night Ranger that I don't dislike except for Kong.
What's that last part?
Yeah, so it's like when I say these 6 songs aren't as strong as these other 6 songs, well, those other 6 songs are fucking great, and those other 6 songs that I just mentioned are just great.
Yeah, I mean,
all right? So
when Brent picked his 11, and I think we all talked about, something has to be 11. Something has to be the last track. I get it, and it's like, well, and I've talked about my absolute love for this album. I didn't want to rank them, but I couldn't wait to rank them because I wanted to get to say Neverland is the best song on that album. I just needed to get through all the other shit to say that.
So yeah, and what makes those episodes fun is not really us doing the episode, it's everyone else's list.
Yes.
Just seeing the love for like My Elusive Mind, who I think I had that as a 10. And that was when I always talked about 6 songs that I thought weren't as good, and other people seem to agree, even your guys' list. The one track that sometimes was the outlier, the most, there's always probably one song, but the most was My Elusive Mind. It would be, it was the one that was most, there's 5 songs out of those 6 that I mentioned, but they would have My Elusive Mind as number 2. So just fun, man.
It's a fun tune. That's why. It's a fun tune.
So moving on, let's get to, is there any Night Ranger news that we need to discuss in the past, since the last episode? Anything change? Anything happening? I saw a show got canceled already.
Yeah, Las Vegas got canceled for November.
The only thing I can think of is maybe it is something with the casino and they're wanting to do some different scheduling, or maybe Night Ranger is looking at dates and then that show doesn't really correlate with whatever dates they're able to do. Maybe they're able to get 3 Ohio dates in November, and they're not able to get any other dates in Vegas around that time. So it's probably so far out that they can cancel that. I don't know.
Or maybe there's some kind of tour being booked that they're part of.
Could be. I mean, I think it's just. I think we're still too far out with what's going on with.
Yeah.
I still don't think much is going to happen this year.
I mean, we're going to know they've got dates booked in April and May, and they're not updating the website, so don't go there. If you know of a show, send it to us
on the page.
There was one individual that posted a show in South Dakota in May, and then the show that I've got tickets to in Wabash, Indiana in July. None of those shows are on Ticketmaster. None of those shows are on the page. So there you go. So,
Andy, we're going to that Wabash show with Josh. We're going to be behind him throwing stuff at him.
Tricky, but yeah.
Then we got Joel's album coming out February 12th. So some new music.
You should have released it on the 13th.
Yeah, you should have.
Yeah.
Brent, you got anything you need to add? Any news?
Now, we still have that Dawn Patrol, as we discussed last week, coming out, colored vinyl.
Yeah, go get that.
Blue.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
Local record stores. Mom and Pa, you know. And we have Night Ranger still recording an album.
Yes.
Yes. And that is going, that is deep.
That's happening.
That is deep in the recording. Yep.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear that.
All right. Anything else? That it?
Yeah. What else we got next?
Josh, what do you got new? Did you get anything new in the mail?
Anything
I
new?
always got something new. But since we're talking about...
Sorry, Eddie, I couldn't resist.
Since we're talking about Greg Eckler,
Mr. Eckler.
That 60s band that he was in called The Light that kind of had a regional hit on A&M Records. There is...
Back up.
Light. Back up, and he was saying that had kind of gotten some new traction in the last years, like especially overseas. They were using it for computer commercials to back up, and then there's another song on there called Music Box, not to be mistaken for the Music Box on Mojo. But yeah, these are not easy to find because
that's a promo copy, it looked like, too.
It is, because they were regional hits. That was a thing back in the 60s. You could be a big band in a part of your state
area,
and no one else, you wouldn't be big anywhere else in the country. But yeah,
slightly on that off topic. On that topic, I watched the Twisted Sister documentary, and they were big regionally before they became huge.
New York, on the East Coast, New York City, and Jersey,
like in an area like J.J. French, like we could sell out anything in this tri-state area. That's how big we were.
They literally made a living where they could support a family. Now, they were good, and there was the platform to do that back then. Just like Kelly Kagi and Don Henley, they were in bands that basically did those hotel circuits. And that's where Don Henley got Kenny Rogers to basically... Kenny Rogers was with Kenny Rogers in the first edition and was basically met him and said, hey, I really think you would enjoy our band. And Kenny's like, I really don't do that. Yeah. And Don Henley's like, no, I really think you would. And so he kind of, you know what? I think I will. And he went and saw him and signed him to a management contract. But what I'm saying is if you were good, you could make a living being a regional act. And just something that you can't even hardly make a living probably being a national act anymore.
You know, Josh, once upon a time back when Andy and I were in our young and innocent youth, wild and innocent youth, in the formation of it, you probably won't remember this, but there was a show called Basement Tapes on MTV.
Yeah.
And local bands sent videos in. And we had a band out of Cincinnati called the Young Invaders that were in the finals against a band called Rail. Rail was the first winner of that. Hello, all you people. Remember that?
I do now.
And Rail won it, and nothing really became a Rail. They were, MTV was going to, they made a video, and they world premiered the video, and yada, and they got a record deal. Nothing happened. And then they did the Basement Tapes #2, and I think the winner was Dog Police. Remember that? Roof, 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 roof. Dog Police, where are you coming from? Dog Police, nobody knows who you are. Roof, 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 roof.
How did they not make it?
It was beautiful.
How did they not make it? And
the Dog Police?
Make it?
I don't know. But yeah, so when you talk about Greg Eckler being regional, I remember MTV trying to bust out local bands, it was a cheap, easy thing for MTV to do. So it'd been cool to see something really come out of that.
Well,
Big.
One last thing.
I can't believe I pulled out rail in my head.
I'm taking notes on Brent's memory. Touching back just with Greg Eckler briefly, I don't know, Dave, as you say, Nadelman, he posted that he completed his Rubicon collection. He picked up America Dreams. I don't know if we can catch that on the
yes,
the face up there.
Me and Nadelman, it's Nadelman, by the way. Me and Nadelman.
He said it correctly.
I'll say however the damn well I want.
I didn't know if you were helping him with that, but I just wanted to, because you were talking about Eckler and Rubicon. So
well, he probably lays awake at night wondering if he's actually pronouncing his last name correct.
It sounds like it's spelled Dave. That's how I would pronounce it.
But I told him he's going to need to get the compilation albums to complete his Rubicon collection. You're not done yet, man. There's still some compilation.
Now, do you have all that stuff, Josh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I do.
Nerd.
There's 2 of them that I think I know of. You'll have to go back to episode 1.
We have to do the Rubicon deep cuts.
So, yeah, there's
Dog Police on there.
I don't think so, but there's whatever they were in the 70s, K-Tel records and.
Oh yeah,
2 discs.
That's great.
So there's a couple of them with Rubicon. So, but yeah, American.
I have a couple of those. I should check.
There
I
you
might
go.
have something sitting in my collection. All right, let's move.
Well, hold on. I
onward.
got some.
For the love of God.
Some FIM stuff. Amory Pigden is still posting daily photos, and Robin Ludite posted, or I should say, Robin Ullman, I apologize, wished her mom happy birthday today. It was a cool pic with her and her mom with Night Ranger. So, and she's one of the younger fans on the page, so her mom raised her right. So happy birthday, Tina, and thank you for raising your kiddo right there. Lance Rushing posted some cool reviews, Man in Motion review. And
I read the Neverland one.
And the Neverland one proved me.
I agreed with. It was a good
proving
review.
you wrong. Yeah,
proving me wrong because I said that Metal Edge didn't give him any love. The only thing I can think of is, again, before internet and all that stuff, I wrote the letter, and it took 3 or 4 months before it was published, and maybe that then in between there is when they put that Night Ranger review in there. But anyways, my memory says.
You're so humble, Josh.
I know. But even like I think we were talking about, as much as they covered bands in every issue, it seemed, it didn't matter who it was. It was like every band was mentioned in every issue, but somehow Night Ranger didn't quite get that much love from Metal Edge. But Mark Romano, I think, put up his Night Ranger bootleg.
Oh yeah,
I had posted I think some more photos earlier in the year. New guy Rich Britton posted some cool photos from December 2019, and Carrie Ann, is it Sutton? Anybody know how to pronounce her last name?
Spell it.
I think it's Supton.
Supton.
Yeah.
Sutphin. Showed off her Night Ranger /
Sutphin. It's Sutphin.
Yeah, that's something.
Sutphin.
Something like that. But
No.
showed her her basically her rock T-shirt collection.
Yeah, collection.
And had a good amount of Night Ranger and some sticks. And I saw Damn Yankees in there. And Ed Hochstadter's been putting in some work on his. Yeah.
Work of him of how you pronounce his name.
No, he needs to talk to his grandparents because it's not. What is it? Hochstadter or whatever. It's Hochstadter. Sorry, buddy.
Hey, we're not professionals here.
Poor
Anything
Ed.
else in Fans in Motion, Brent? Do you have anything you want to bring up? Or
I
Josh,
wanna
were you
get
done?
it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step
No,
on
you're
you.
fine.
He's done. We stepped on you.
Show us what you got, Brent. Let's show some love towards the Fans in
Fans in
Motion
Motion page brought to you by.
Oh wait,
Yeah, he see Andy screwing his own bit up. He told me to do this.
Brought to you by Afrin. Not before in Efren. So after you have a nasal problem, you use Efren.
So, on the Fans in Motion page this week, I like to send out some love to our friends of the Land of the Rising Sun, our Japan Fans in Motion.
Arigato.
Ooh, Andy had to look that up. Andy, behind me,
Masahiro Sugano. I'm assuming if I apologize if I butchered your name there. Masahiro Sugano.
And what do you see in there in that picture?
That
the
is
Brad Gillis poster?
Brad Gillis looks like it's probably an ad if I had to guess, or a promo shot.
It's a signed poster.
Brad.
Yeah.
I can't tell if there's anything above it. I can't see if there's something there that I should be noticing above.
No, it's just the picture. I thought it was a cool picture. I'd never seen that shot before.
Yeah, it's Brad with his guitar and Mesa Boogie amps.
And our friends in Japan always post some incredible stuff, which leads me to Andrew.
Oh, boy.
We don't let Josh do this part.
Takekazu Kobayashi. Takekazu Kobayashi. Again, apologies from me.
Look at that sweet, sweet guitar.
That is bad to the bone with a Mesa Boogie set up behind him.
Yeah, I love when the fans post.
What is that make of the guitar? Is that an actual Fender?
I think it's a Fernandez.
Well, it looks like it's got a Fender headstock, though.
Well, but the Fernandez has a Fender headstock.
I just didn't know.
No, what I'm saying, not only that, but I think it says
Fender on it.
Yeah.
So I know he posted some other guitars, and I think some of the other guitars were Fernandez as well. I mean,
I could be wrong, but to me it looks like it's got the Fender logo on there. Either way,
it's either one or the other because he's used both of them. So
yeah.
So, Japan fans, we love you. Thank you very much. We love you all. Everybody.
If you don't want that guitar, I'll message you my address.
Yeah. You send it really cheap across back to the U.S. here. We'll take it.
In the Fans in Motion news, Brent, you got anything else?
I have nothing else. So I like to thank Afrin.
Yeah, because it helps me breathe because I'm a mouth breather.
And that's it. So let's get this ball rolling with David Lauser.
Hang on. Anybody got any new music or any books or anything else they want to promote while we're at it?
The one good thing, if you're ever going to buy vinyl, and this is more of probably like your popular commercial releases, Walmart and Target will sometimes offer the same vinyl, but in a colored vinyl that's unique if you buy it at their store. So this was on sale not too long ago. I got the first Boston album on vinyl.
How much you pay for that?
$15.
You paid $14.99 too much.
Well, you are incorrect, and I think there's a lot of...
Apparently is not a fan of Boston.
I'm not a fan of Boston.
Well, what's crazy
I don't look back either.
Is this is probably the 5th time I've bought this. You know, I had it on cassette when I was a kid, and CD. I probably bought a remastered CD, and now I got the... but blue vinyl, Walmart exclusive.
And I love that Walmart gets cheap and expensive, exclusive titles.
It's usually $20-$25, but I think they had a sale where a certain amount of their vinyl was $14.99. But like I said, Walmart will have some colored vinyl exclusives, and so will Target. And that's really your record stores that are out there, unless you got a nice mom and pop place nearby. So that's all I got.
If you get on Walmart.com, they actually have more than what they have in the store. For example, you can get the Man in Motion remastered CD on Walmart.com for like $12.99. Where
can we find any
now you're
Marvelous 3?
You're not buying it through. Usually, I don't know about Man in Motion, but you gotta be careful.
It's actually through Walmart.
All right, you just gotta be careful because some of them are just kind of like Amazon. You're not really buying it from Amazon. You're buying it from a third party that's selling through Amazon.
What was crazy was I found that the Sound of Vinyl, Kiss Rocks Vegas, it came out in England through Sound of Vinyl in England. Walmart is selling that in the States on their website. So I could have gotten that a month earlier than I had to wait for it to come from England.
You're not a true Kiss fan.
I bought it.
So
I bought it from England.
Before I forget, you guys could probably correct me on the year. I may be off on the year, but it was on this date that one of the greatest rock albums of our generation was released, Pyromania. 82? 83?
All that eaten, gotten, gruben.
Was released on this day, January 20th, the day that we're recording this. So, and it's somebody's birthday today.
We're waiting for you to do your horrible Paul Stanley.
Oh, I think that's what you're waiting for.
Jeez.
I just want to say thank you for all the birthday wishes.
Wow. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still listening, we thank
today.
you.
You know what 69 means, don't you?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I got that going for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, we give you a great interview with David Lauser.
I know David Lauser.
And we're back. Hey, you'll notice that we are all in different clothes except for Brent.
Branding.
This is actually a different day. This is about 5 days later than we've done the first 2 episodes, which I think I'm going to break it into. David, congratulations. We're going for a record. This is either going to be a 3 or 4 part episode, which I don't care because the whole thing has been awesome so far.
Cool.
If you notice, we finally got Andy's. Nashville must finally have gotten electricity and running water because Andy has decided to show up here.
I'm down in my bunker, man, and it's tough sometimes.
Got gas for that generator, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I ran out.
Hey, I'm going to jump right in here so we're on a little bit of a time constraint. David, when we were talking last time, we were talking about ambition and drive, and I had mentioned something about an Elvis quote, and I couldn't remember it off the top of my head. But that quote that Elvis said was, "Ambition is a dream with a V8 engine." And I just always like that. That is, if you have that ambition and motivation, it can get you far. And I just wanted to touch on that. My other question is, Salt, Fish, and Chips still around?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Not, at least not in the area that we used to eat it. And I am living in the Inland Empire these days.
Okay.
I'm back. That's another story. But no, believe me. And I think the last time it was around, it wasn't as good. Maybe about 15 years ago. Hell, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was good in 1970, though.
And the house that you lived with Jeff and Fitz in Mill Valley, is that house still around?
I believe so. I probably shouldn't give the address, but it was on Morning Sun in Mill Valley.
Okay.
And it was really a nice neighborhood. Let me turn that off.
And well, if that's Sammy, tell Sammy you're busy.
Exactly.
Well, I tell you what, if you're ever out and about and you're at that location where the Fish and Chips was, where you and Sammy were there for the birth of Aaron, take a picture of where that location was. I'm a history nerd, and I love to see, it could be an empty parking lot now, but at one time there's a story there, just like where Hank Williams, where they pulled into the gas station and found that Hank Williams was dead in the back of the Cadillac. I went to that where that gas station was. It's an empty parking lot next to a auto mechanic's place, and you would never know, but just the history that was in that empty parking lot. So, and Mill Valley, where you and Fitz and Jeff lived.
Well, I tell you, I get you 100%. I'm actually very sentimental. I live in a town called Ukaipa right now, which you might have heard on the news, got hit with a really serious fire. It was maybe 2 miles from my house. Mm-hmm. Luckily, we cleared all the brush, and we have like about 100 feet of just dirt. We're cool.
That's good.
I'm a little hoarse because when you go outside, the whole city's like as if you just doused a campfire. It smells like that, But anyway, what was I going to say? I'm sentimental, and when I moved back here, I moved from I lived in the Bay Area for years because I was with Sammy. I moved up there in 1980. I was there up until 2013. But I moved down south because my wife was sick, and then she died. Then I met the love of my life, who lived in San Bernardino. I met her at a high school reunion. Anyway, when I'm down, yeah, I mean, that's a long story. We won't go there. I drive around to where I used to go to school. There's like 2 houses I lived in San Bernardino. Every once in a while, I do what you're saying. And I'll tell you, where Sammy's kid was born, it was at County Hospital. I think it's now, it's like a juvenile hall. It's like a juvenile detention center. It's still a government building. I can, you know.
Yeah, any of that stuff. I think the fans would enjoy it. I definitely would enjoy it.
I tell you what, I actually went. Well, I'm jumping around, but when I didn't live in San Bernardino. I lived in Palm Desert, but I met my wife now. She lived in San Bernardino, so at one point I moved in with her, drummer without a job.
Yeah, there you go.
That's bad. Really, I had a gig, but it's kind of the same thing. Anyway, sold my place. We got this together. We combined our stuff. We have a fantastic house together. We're cruising, but God, I'm like, I had way too much iced tea. My mind's going too fast here. But anyway, I hadn't been to San Bernardino in years. I mean, I went to high school here, you know. So it's kind of like, I don't know, I'm sentimental. It's like I drove around town. I go, whoa, man, it's been like 35 years or whatever. The place really went downhill, by the way. Not where I live now, but San Bernardino is like, it's dangerous, man. You know, at those areas at night, you do not go out.
Really?
When I was a kid, it was middle class, solid, you know, whatever.
Well, take those photos during the day. And also, if you're out there, I would like Lear's. Didn't you say that was the big music shop, Lear's?
Well, yes, you know, the bummer is that now it's just like a strip mall or something. Not even a strip mall, but that area. I just remember what I was going to tell you, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Because I'm CD. If I don't tell you, it'll drive me. Well, I met Julie. I'm in San Bernardino. I never picked up my high school diploma, and I went to this junior high named Arrowview where I had my first band played at. We talked about Youngblood. I actually went to the school and donated some drum gear, you know, and I took a picture. There's a picture of me in front of the stage, so I have that kind of stuff. I actually have a picture of the place I first played drums in front of people.
Oh man,
1966.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, definitely. Like
same school and everything.
Yeah, was that the Pacific High School?
I went to Pacific High School, but Arrowview Junior High, you know, the way it was back then, it was like 7, 8, 9 was junior high, 10, 11, 12 was high school. Some places were 9 through 12, like Catholic schools, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, I went to junior high at this place. I went to Catholic school for like 8 years, pretty much. And that was my first year of public school, and man, it was a kick in the ass. It was like, and I was going through puberty, so it was like, bam! Oh man, I gotta unplug that. That's crazy. I'm gonna do it real quick. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's just done now. Okay, I'm coming back. I'm naked, by the way. No, I'm kidding.
Whoa!
You know, it's the funny thing, like doing all this virtual stuff. You can be in your pajamas.
You can.
I'm glad.
Hey, is the Hat Factory or Family Dog still around? Like the buildings?
God, I drive by those places, and I say to Julie, my wife, I go, see that empty lot right there? That the Family Dog now is the pandas there, but it's torn down. The Hat Factory in Riverside, I really don't think it's there. I mean, it's on University Avenue, which is a main drag going to the campus, but I haven't driven by there in a while. But I know the street's still there.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, just little things, just like the history of all, you know, the people that had performed there. Now it's like an empty lot or something. Just like I said, if you're ever around, send us a photo. I'd just love to see where those places were. Another question I had is, you mentioned having tapes of early recordings, like of the Justice Brothers, where you guys do like a James Brown melody and stuff like that.
Yes.
Are those, are you the only one with those copies? And my next question is, those.
You don't want to talk about this. I make a lot of money with it.
Well, what I'm saying is, do you have them labeled and set aside? Because those are almost historical.
Let's stop you. Our keyboard player, Al Shane, who used to be with Terry Knight and the Pack, which was the band that turned into Grand Funk Railroad.
Wow.
He was our keyboard player with me, Sammy, and Jeff Nicholson and Justice Brothers. We were like 19, Sam was like 23 or 22. Jeff was a year older than me. He was 21 or 20. You know, Al was 30. He was the old guy in the band. What would it be like to be 30? Well, you guys are already 30. Anyway.
Yeah. And then some.
I told last week or whatever it was, it was last week, Al had all this gear. He was like the first call keyboard player in the whole area. If you wanted to get a club band and you needed a keyboard player to make that extra money or get in that really cool club, he was the guy. He sang like the guy in Procol Harum. He sounded like Gary Brooker. And he could play B3 like a motherfucker. He could play B3 jazz and all the rock shit. Steve Winwood, whatever.
Yeah.
He was a gearhead, and he had the presence of mind. We were playing at a place called the Wharf Rat Tavern. That's the place Ronnie Montrose came in and checked Sam out. It was right there on the wharf in San Francisco. But he hung a couple stereo mics in the club and just hit record, and the whole night was recorded. Wow. And I don't know how I got a tape copy of it, but I did. And I put it on one of those, transfer things and put it in my computer. So I have digital copies.
All right.
Great.
As long as they're,
How much money you got?
Probably not enough.
Probably you're
not
breaking
enough.
up there. I lost you. What was that?
But what's on there that's really cool, first of all, it's got our break song. We used to play like a couple blues songs, and Sam's playing guitar and Bob Anglin from the Lights playing guitar. You can hear the difference in their styles. We were playing like The Stumble by Freddie King. Anyway, but Sam, the thing that's classic on there is a 3-song medley of Hot Pants, Cold Sweat, and Superbad by James Brown. Maybe I don't even know if you know those songs, but Hot Pants was cool, But it's Sam singing them. He's doing James Brown. He's like, going, hey! To this day, Sam has those R&B chops. Like he really was a blues R&B. He loved that shit. So he injects that in the music, like Three Lock Box, Suckers Walk, all that. That's like some James Brown shit,
Yeah, his voice is so powerful. Even today, I just saw him last year, I think it was, and God,
yeah,
just tearing it up.
Yeah, he'll be 73 this October, and I swear to God, he has got as much energy as ever.
Hey, speaking of his birthday bash in Cabo Wabo, can you get me in? I'm just saying.
You wouldn't last 2 hours. You'd be sleeping on the table in the back.
I try to get the tickets that thing every year, and I can't get in.
Well, you know what? I want to say we did it last year. It was a Wabos thing. It was fantastic because it was like a big reunion thing. We played every night, and we played every freaking song. Oh, my God. I had to learn all that shit.
Yeah.
But is it even happening this year?
Probably not.
I didn't think so because Sam told me earlier in the year, he goes, I think we're going to do it, but Mexico, that's...
Yeah. Well, I'll message you privately my number. I can drum tech for you. It's.
Yeah. Well,
I'll pay my own expenses.
No, I guess.
My other question, based off our last conversation, is you talked about Fitz watching basketball a few times on TV.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story.
Was there a specific team that he liked to watch, or was it just basketball in general that he liked?
It was basketball. I think at the time it was, I think the Spurs were hot, Ice, what's his name, the Iceman, or whatever. And of course, the Golden State Warriors, World B3. I'm not a big sports guy, but I am a Giants fan. And I was at the first World Series Game 1 at AT&T Brothers.
Nice.
And I'll tell you the same thing I told Greg Eckler. You're welcome for the Reds choking. Because if it wasn't for the Reds choking, you guys wouldn't have had that World Series.
Yeah, Reds were up 2-0 on the Giants and lost
the
3 in a
playoffs.
row.
Drummer, the Reds choking what?
The Reds, Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, the Reds.
My Reds.
The Reds.
Yeah, because freaking Dusty Baker didn't know when to take a freaking pitcher out.
All right, calm down, Brent. Calm down. Grab a beer.
Dusty Baker.
Hey,
he'll always be a Dodger.
I've been a Giants fan. I grew up in Southern California. Well, I was born back in Pennsylvania, but I was 11 when I came to California, and I was a freaking Giants fan. Willie Mays, McCovey, Willie Alou, and all those people, or Jesus. Anyway, I lived in Dodger territory, so I'm not a turncoat. Like I've always been a Giants fan since I was a kid. But the Barry Bonds era,
yeah.
But anyway,
you're welcome for 2 Super Bowls, by the way, too.
All right, you guys are just pissing me off. All right, so back to stuff I want to reminisce about. The rehearsals that you would hear of Ranger downstairs.
Yes.
Was there anything like when you would be up there, doing whatever, and you would hear them break into something? Was there ever like a song or anything you were like, holy shit, that's good?
Well,
or that's bad.
Sam had a song called Trans Am. When I joined the band, I mentioned this last time, and maybe I don't need to go back, but when I joined Sam's band, it was very much of he was in like a metamorphosis. He was changing from kind of like a touring, kick-ass hard rock band where he wanted to be more accepted on the radio. Standing Hampton was radio friendly compared to Danger Zone.
Mm-hmm.
He did have some hits back in the day, like Turn Up the Music, but he really was like stomping on his live performance vibe versus trying to have like more pop, more radio accessible songs. So Night Ranger one day, when I first joined the band, we hadn't recorded Standing Hampton yet. We did that Taking It to People tour, and that's when, and we had Ranger open for us on a couple of shows. So they were kind of fucking around, and they were playing Trans Am. And Brad was actually playing some cool shit, but they were doing it tongue in cheek. They were kind of making fun of it in a way, and like, we can do this, whatever. So I remember thinking, you assholes, you're in my house practicing, you're insulting me, you know what I mean? They weren't really saying this is fucked up, but you could tell they were like joking about, oh, look, this lick, whatever. Cocky musicians, right?
Then the final one I wanted to touch on is you briefly mentioned that you auditioned for a few things or a thing with Jack Blaze. And I don't know if it's something that you can or want to talk about or if I need to edit, but what was that audition there? I've done it.
Well, I'll tell you what, God, that's rough. I'm going to humble myself. It was for, what was the name of their band with Ted Nugent?
Damn Yankees.
Damn Yankees. What would have been Damn Yankees? Kolodner really liked me, John Kolodner.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Anybody and everybody in the industry, Aerosmith. Kolodner was like a hands-on kind of, he was sort of like, who's the, the Jewish guy that still around, the famous Clive Davis. He was kind of like Junior Clive Davis, right? Davies or Davis. Clive Davis was responsible for so much shit, I can't go into it, but Kolodner had his hands in a lot of pies and fingers, and he was like a conduit. So he got me that audition, and I went to it. I was not prepared, and I remember at the time I hadn't been playing a lot. I'll be honest with you, drummers, man, it's like sports, man. You got to be on it. Not that I didn't care. It's just that I wasn't gigging a lot. That's part of my excuse. The other part was it just didn't click. There was no chemistry, And I remember at one point, Tommy Shaw just got on the phone. It was like, kind of like, I go, okay, this is over, you know. But it wasn't really much. We just jammed a couple songs, and they got, you know, a younger cat or whatever that fit in better. Forget his name. Don't say it. What's his last name?
Cardelloni.
Yeah, really great guy. I met Mike on the road with Leonard Skinner. We did this gig together right here.
All right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So, Dusty.
Well, Michael Cardelloni and Tommy Shaw had history together. He was the drummer for Tommy Shaw's solo tour previous to Damn Yankees. So I don't think it was your skills at all. I just think Michael Cardelloni had the end. So that's what I would say. But what you've just told us, I have never heard before in 30 years of researching the band, and so I never have heard that they even looked at a different drummer than Michael Cardelloni. So Brent, you need to put that little CBS news break thing in your back screen.
The breaking news.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
I'll give you another Kalodnerism, and I love John. John had my back, man. John loved us so much. He saw, you know, I think John. Now here again, in front of Andy and everything. I am blowing my horn a little bit, but I'm not an asshole. You know. But, John understood that Sam and I, and I'm sure Sam let him know in my heart, and I'm like very thankful. But John understood that it was me and Sam in that demo studio for months at a time. Sam and I had a connection. I know Sam. I know we both believe that. We have a history, but there's something about when we get in the studio together, he just plays me like the verse chord changes, and it's like I don't even think. It's just like automatic. It's not anything complex, but there's a chemistry.
Yeah.
So I think Kalodner understood that, and he knew he was trying to place me. When Sam joined Van Halen, he really tried to place me. I got an audition. Get this, Lone Justice. You know who that is?
Yeah, I remember that name.
Maria McGee. Really talented singer, keyboard player. They played at the first Farm Aid with us. There's a story there, but they did not like Sammy Hagar Band for one big reason. When we did Farm Aid, it was live. When Eddie came out and jammed with us.
Yeah.
And Sam said on camera.
Oh, I know. I know exactly what I was going to bring this up.
What did he say? Do you remember?
This is a song for all you tractor pulling motherfuckers out there.
Very much. And all the TV screens went. And then Brenda Lee got on. Well, that's Sam. He's a character. Anyway.
David, I had my dad down in my room watching it with me. We waited all day long for that to come on CMT or whatever.
How old are you?
I'm 51 now. I was probably 17 back then.
Got it. But check it out. Now, here's the thing.
16. I was 16.
Get out. Get on, bro. I don't mean to digress, and you can call me. I'll do this another time, but you've got me wound up thinking of this shit. So Lone Justice, which was a Geffen act, right? Geffen act, goes on after us. Their big shot was on TV in front of 1 million people for free. And the fucking screens cut off and they lost their showcase. So Sam told me when I did the audition for them, they were putting together a different kind of band. They were like, half the band, the young guys were like, all right, Lauser, just jam. But Maria and this other cat from New York she had, some Italian bass player who did give me the time of fucking day. It must have been, they were like this. It was like no eye contact. Nothing. It was like, okay, what are you going to play? And I was like, oh, I learned this song. And later on, two things. Sammy told me, I said, man, I felt I really fucked up. They didn't even want to, it went bad. And he says, oh, bro, don't take it to heart. And then he explained to me what happened. I didn't know that happened. And then Kalodner, I'll never forget. I go, John, I really appreciate you going and putting your neck out for me to get this audition, right? And he goes, bro, Don't worry about it. Those people are weird. You know, in his way. So anyway, that was 2 auditions that Collider got me that I didn't get. You know, whatever. Anyway.
Well, at least he thought highly enough of you to even, put you in those situations.
Yeah.
With the Farm Aid show, everybody, the whole world was speculating Eddie was going to show up.
Yeah.
I mean, I sat through all day of watching whatever I was watching all day long, just waiting to see. I had to, did that kind of suck for you? I had to suck for you guys, knowing where it was going to go.
It was a swan song gig. We knew at that gig that Sam was on board with them. In fact, Sam had been playing me demo tapes. He played me, why can't this be love?
Yeah.
Yeah, he played that shit for me at his house, like on a cassette. Bro, check it out. Here's a song. I went, whoa, man, that's gonna be a hit. That's really cool. It was sloppy. It was just a demo. It was a rehearsal tape. But I was like, oh, they had. I could tell right away they had magic. I'll be honest with you. Van Halen had finished 1984 a year before, and they were like, bam, they were in stratosphere. That album put them right. Come on.
Yeah.
1984 was the fucking pinnacle of Roth Van Halen. Great record. Come on. I mean, geez, number 1 hit, Jump.
Yep.
Bing. So I was like, first of all, talking about myself, how I felt, if that's what you're asking, we were all a little, Church was definitely not happy. Gary was like, he knew he was going to be in Boston. He kind of already had that runway. The plane could see the runway,
Yeah.
I was kind of like, what the fuck am I going to do? But I think I was still in that kind of headspace where I was the rookie. It had only been almost 6 years, but I wasn't a rookie at that point, but I was still the new kid on the block, and I was just jazzed being at that place where there's Tom Petty and there's Bob Dylan, and I'm talking with Liberty DeVito.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was like star-studded. It was like Kenny Aronoff and we were hanging out. It was like I was just jazzed, and then I'm jamming with Eddie Van Halen in front of 80,000 people with Sammy. So it was a lot of fun. It hit me later when I went home. But I was bummed. I was jacked.
Yeah.
Our tempos were like, but, I think it was a great way to go out. It could have just been a phone call. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I knew the band was over at that point, and so it was kind of cool that we did that,
Did you and Sammy stay in touch at all while he was in Van Halen, or was his schedule just so hectic?
I went to about 4 or 5 of the shows. They treated me like a king. Now, you got to remember, when I was in Toys...
Yep.
I played all the clubs at Van Halen. We played dives together, Walter Mitty's. We played Eros and Bogarts and San Bernardino. We played the Golden West Ballroom. That was kind of cool. We played the Smokestack. I did a gig with Van Halen New Year's Eve at the Smokestack, or the Fleetwood, they changed it. That club is in Redondo Beach. I think it's still there. I played with the Ramones there, the real Ramones, the regular.
Wow.
Yeah.
My band Toys opened for them. And we played Blitzkrieg Bop as kind of like a little tip of the hat. And they were like, you guys are pretty cool, whatever,
I love that song.
Yeah, we did it almost like, and coming up, and by the way, here's a little tip of the hat, but
now, did they stand out even then?
Oh yeah, it was 100 freaking degrees in that place. It was the summer, no air conditioning, sweat was on the walls, and those guys had.
Are we talking like 76, 77?
I'm thinking more like 78.
Okay.
77. Yeah, maybe. It wasn't 76. It was closer to 77-ish.
So it's
whenever that record came.
So it's right before they broke.
Oh man.
What do you mean broke?
Their first album came out in 78, I think.
They were just coming up. I remember on the jukebox or the sound system, the shit that was being played was Roxanne by Police and Love Is a Drug by, that British band, whatever.
Love is or is that Love is Like Oxygen, or Love is?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking, what's that? Brian Ferry.
Oh, okay. Roxy Music stuff.
Roxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. He's like a savant.
Yeah. Anyway, that was the era. So it was 77. Yeah, because Van Halen got signed in 78. And they did New Year's Eve with us in 77. So shortly thereafter, they were signed.
Oh.
They were playing stuff like Atomic Punk.
Oh.
I mean, and then you know what they played? They were playing Blackmore's Rainbow shit. Oh
yeah, they were playing ZZ Top, Kiss, everybody. I've heard little old live shows from them.
Anyway, my point is, if there is one, that it was the breeding ground for a lot of young rock bands. San Bernardino, Riverside, The Beach, L.A., Gazaris, Whiskeys, Starwood. Where else? Where's the other one? Yeah, well, the Whiskey. Yeah. And yeah, we played all those same places. So we'd share dressing rooms. One time I broke a drum head and Alex's tech gave me a head. You know what I mean? It was like, fuck, what am I going to do? Here's Alex, So we knew each other.
So the Sammy Hagar band breaks up. Did Sammy joins Van Halen? You kind of told us in the last episode where you had done some stuff and you did the electrician craft and everything. Let me ask you this before we get more into the early 90s. Did Van Halen change Sammy at all?
I'll tell you something kind of soulful. When you asked me if me and Sam stayed in touch and how he treated me after he joined Van Halen, well, the first thing he said to me at one point, he says, "Bro, I owe Geffen a record. Like if you know anything about record deals, you sign like a 4-record contract. Well, we did 3: Standing, Free Lock, and VOA. We owed Geffen. He owed Geffen 1 more record. Never said goodbye. There he goes. All right, smartass. No.
Which was a contest. A contest to name the album on MTV.
You guys know your shit, man. I'm impressed. But anyway, so Sam said to me, he says, "Bro, I just want you to know, I'm going to have you and Jesse play on you're playing drums on my next record. Don't worry. You could count on that." And he did. And he paid me well. He paid me for back then. I won't be rude and mention, but it got me through definitely a half a year.
That's great, man.
Yeah. So, but what was cool about it, I'll tell you something about that record and keep me on track because I have so much information in my head. That's the first time that record was played to a click, and I'll tell you why. I bought this drum machine, like not a Lynn, but it was like a really good drum machine because it was like 1987 or whatever, and I thought I need to get hip to this shit. I started working with I always worked with a metronome, but I wanted a drum machine just to record with and make demos. And I programmed every song that me, Eddie, and Sammy worked up to just like a 8th note hi-hat and side stick on quarter note. Every song. And I memorized those fucking songs. I knew whatever. So we went into the studio pretty prepared. And Eddie was kind of balking at using a click track because they don't, they want shit to push and pull. And I understand all that. Him and his brother have been playing since they were on the tit, But sorry about the expression.
No, all right.
That's my grandmother. My Italian grandmother, she used to say, if somebody lived at home too long, they were on the tit.
Yeah, baby.
How old is he? He's on the tit. No. Yeah. Anyway, kick cuts a fire. But anyway, so.
We're not of the offended generation, so you don't have to worry about us, okay?
You speak Italian, do you?
What's that?
Nobody speaks Italian here, right?
No.
Well, somebody just heard what I said online. Is going to go, whoa, that's bad. Anyway, I'll teach you a little Italian later. But anyway, my father's German. That's the Lauser, but my mom's Italian. So anyway, where was I? I'm talking about Sam
Click.
And the record and Click. So
and Eddie
that's
on the Click.
Record from that era that's with a Click. And the reason is, first of all, it was going to be Sammy and Eddie producing it. Right? they got a guy named David Thorner, who was the engineer for Foreigner and everything. Really good. Made that record sound good. We did it at Studio A at A&M. We're like, we are the world, all that shit. Yeah. It was and they brought in like Jeff Porcaro's drum tech to set up a kit for me. I don't know, they just walked in and the set was tuned. It was awesome. It was like I was Cadillacing, okay?
Yeah.
So I went in there. I probably shouldn't digress on the rim shot thing and my technique, but at that time I was still playing my old technique that I explained to Brent
and Josh.
Yeah. So Eddie was on me about that. He goes, dude, you got to use rim shots. I go, man, I know, but I've been working on getting this and whatever. But so that was weird. We were like kind of bumping heads about that. But Eddie was great. That was really fun. That's a whole interview doing that record. But Sam got me on that, and here I am doing a record, and like on my resume, it's like I'm the only drummer that ever did an album with Eddie Van Halen playing bass, you know. And he played a great. Sam played all the guitar on that. Eddie did not play guitar on that record on that, you know. But no, Eddie didn't want to. But the reason why I did the drum machine thing is because I knew it was going to be Sammy, and I don't know how Ed was. But I was like, I'll be in hell if I'm trying to track and I know my man rushes a little bit. And I just knew that if I had that click track, that I would know my shit was tight.
Sure.
And they could overdub all they want. And they did, you know.
Right.
So, and I knew it was going to be done quickly. And I knew there was going to be a lot of pressure. Here I am playing with Sammy and Eddie after 5150. You know, it was done quick. That album we were done in a week making the basic tracks, you know. So I knew the click would make it easy. And you being drummers, I mean, if you can play with the click, obviously you don't play stiff, but it's like you can hang your hat on it, you know.
Yeah, I cannot play to a click. I was going to ask you, but I have struggled so hard with that.
We can talk about that later. I charge $75 an hour. I know. I'm serious, though. I would like to tell you about it.
I just always tell my band the tempo's what I say it is.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
It's not like fucking Eddie.
And Brent sits in and plays with my band when I can't make it, and he's the same. Well, though I think Brent's got better time than me. I don't care. I just play. I want to hear this at the end of the song. Good job.
Well, you know what? I hear old demos of me playing with the Justice Brothers and shit, and my time is really good. But when I tried playing with a metronome or a drum machine when I first started doing it, it was hard. All the places that you push and pull naturally fills you. Then after a while, first it fucks with you. Then you get comfortable and you start to realize that, say you're playing, can I do this?
Yeah.
Say you're playing like a simple rock beat, you know, eighth note thing like that.
Yeah.
And you do a fill. Well, when you're really starting out with the drum machine, you're going 1 and 2 and da 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 da.
Yeah.
Well, what you learn to do when you get more confident, you're going dum dum da dum da 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 da. You push it because naturally fills. You don't sit there and go like a robot.
Right.
But anyway, you get more to where you can actually fuck with the drum. You can actually play behind it or in front of it. But the beginning of it, it's intimidating. It's hard. Anyway, I did that record knowing if Eddie and Sammy, I didn't know what kind of a producer Eddie was. I knew Sammy did not have, God bless him, he was not a good producer when it came to tempos. Like with Keith Olsen, I knew when things were rushing. He was a little bit oblivious, you know. I'm talking like fine stuff, you know. It wasn't like terrible.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I could tell like track A and track B. Keith would turn around and say, "Which one do you think is good?" I go, A, and Sam would say B. You know what I mean? But like, it'd be like, "No, man, this is in the pocket right here," whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that was a joy. And going back to your original question, Sam. He really, Van Halen and Sam, when I went to their shows, they treated me like a king. They treated me like a brother. Backstage, you know, there was no attitude. You know, it was very cool. And Eddie knew, I think the last show they did was at the Cow Palace in San Francisco, and he knew I was going to be playing drums on the Never Say Goodbye. And I remember I was saying goodbye to him. He goes, "You better fucking woodshed, dude." He was putting the fear of God in me, and I was like, "You better have your shit together," you know.
Did he remember? Did he remember you from the Toys days?
You know, I mentioned probably not. He was in his own world, but I mentioned we did a lot of gigs together, and I go, "Remember the smokestack?" He goes, "Oh yeah." But I remember everything, you know.
Yeah.
But
now you were talking about. I'm sorry.
Right.
You were saying that you're asking if Van Halen changed Sammy at all.
oh,
The only thing it did, in my opinion, changed him wise. I'd seen the VOA tour twice. Saw here in Cincinnati with Crocus, and it was one of the most amazing shows I'd ever seen in my life because I'm sitting on the side of the stage, well, in the crowd, not on the stage, and somebody had a speed limit sign, hands it up to Sammy. Of course, he gets a can of spray paint, does the circle. Somebody hands a guitar up to Sammy. He calls Zeke, was his name Zeke, the guitar tech?
yeah.
Calls out Zeke and says, "Tune this motherfucker up because we're going to play this like it's never been played before." And he played the guitar, gave the kid backstage passes. It was amazing. So then
That's cool.
the following summer, we saw you guys up in Dayton, Ohio, and Dokken was opening. And we were front row, and Sammy kept giving my friend Rob shots and everything. Sammy was just a motherfucker on stage. There was just no doubt. He's one of the greatest frontmen ever.
Yeah.
But with Van Halen, he had no guitar to hide behind, to run around with, and I think he slowed up. I don't think he wanted to be the ringmaster like Dave Lee Roth was the ringmaster of Van Halen. He wanted to fit in with the other guys. He wasn't as insane as he was as a solo artist, in my opinion.
You know what? I never thought of that, to be honest with you, but probably he was accommodating them to a degree.
Yeah.
Respectful. But you asked me.
He was still great.
See, I will disagree because I think it's more Sammy. You're seeing Sammy Hagar in 1984. In 1986 or whatever, you're seeing a band. It's a little bit more of a dynamic. It's not your name; it's a band name.
Oh, that's right.
But when I saw Sammy in 1995, though, I've seen hundreds of concerts, and I can't remember obviously everything, but I remember it's kind of like a Viewmaster. You know, I remember that. I remember that. Okay, it's a lot like my 20s drinking, but I remember two scenes of Sammy 1995, and they are up there with some of the greatest rock and roll moments I've ever seen. So to me, he never lost it. He was a hell of a front man in 1995.
You had to be on the VOA tour. The VOA tour was amazing.
I was 7 years old, and 1995 was amazing. Sammy was. So.
Well, I'll tell you, I went to a lot of Van Halen shows because I felt connected. It wasn't like I didn't have sour grapes. I wasn't sure. I almost felt like it kind of made me. You know what it did? It was inspiring now because I was not really in any known bands or whatever, and I was struggling financially. But going to those shows, it pumped me up. It made me want to stay in and play music. It kind of like they were treating me like with respect, you know. So, and Sam always did. He was always like, bro, you know. He never downplayed it or made me feel bad for whatever. He didn't hold it over my head. He was cool about it. When I went and saw him with Van Halen, it's like I could appreciate what a good frontman he was. He was funny. He makes that shit up on the fly. I always kid him. I said, "You're like a white Whoopi Goldberg. You know, the way you talk. You know, the same kind of. He swears the same way. He says fuck a lot. I mean, he's got almost like a black stand-up comedian. I mean, you check him out. He goes, 'Hey, motherfuckers, waitress!' You know, whatever. It's all that James Brown shit. But going back to your question, and I apologize going down memory lane, when I did that record with Eddie and Sam in '87, he was at the beach in Malibu. Eddie lived right next door. Sam took me aside and asked me, it was really kind of touching. He goes, "Bro, have I changed?" And he meant personally, since I've been in this band, has this band and this success changed me? he was actually cool enough. I was like taken aback. I was like, whoa. I said, no, I don't. I think I said something like, you haven't changed. Just, you know, your world's gotten a little broader.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I asked, because I'd asked you a little bit where when you joined the band, you were with Sam 1980. And then when Standing Hampton is released, a whole new level. So now you're on Sam's level at that. Van Halen is just a whole nother level. And I was actually going more towards, it's different when I'm Sammy, I'm in charge, it's me, it's, hey, let's take a vote on that, and it's one vote. And I was just more of the, suddenly, Sammy Hagar is in, it's not just one vote, it's 4 votes, maybe 3. And it's not maybe the most stable environment, and that negativity that sometimes is there can change someone more than the positive, and that's where I was getting at. And it's interesting to hear that he had that self-awareness to even bring that up with you. That's where I was getting with that question. Just
musically, it freed him up. Think about it. All of a sudden, he's got this great band who, at the time, the world's most renowned guitar player. I mean, Jeff Beck, Eric, Jimi Hendrix, those are the people I think about. I can name others, and I know them all, and I love them. But Eddie was like, he was the king at that time, big time. Yep. So Sam, not only does that pump him up, but he doesn't have to carry the load. With us, if he had a bad show, no matter how good I played, he had a bad show. I remember when I first joined the band and doing those first concerts, the people were like fucking going crazy, and I had a good night. I was like, I'm fucking rocking. These songs just feel great. And he'd get off stage and go, man, the show wasn't good. I go, what? I forgot the words, or my voice is shot. I can't sing. You know, the show was still okay, but in other words, if he had a good night and I made a lot of clams and I was sick or something, it didn't matter. The people were happy because you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If Sam's out front connecting with the people and doing it, and the band's not necessarily perfect, it doesn't matter. But with Van Halen, he could let go a little bit. In a weird way, he had more freedom, even though he was confined to like what my man Brent said, because both are true. Mm-hmm. And as it progressed, they bumped heads.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I know we're on a time constraint, and I always want to talk Alliance, and I don't know if anybody's been. Did anybody hear the doorbell?
What now? What are you talking about?
Oh, here we go.
What are you talking about?
This is one of the Josh things. Go for it, Josh.
I keep hearing this doorbell. Yeah. I'm trying to see what it is. Someone keeps texting me on here.
What happened?
You're all you. This is
what you sound all high pitched and shit. I thought, well, who is that guy?
Hey, is that Lauser?
The Gates.
So, anyways,
Andy's taking a piss, so he's coming in a second.
Salute.
Hey, Greg, how you doing, buddy?
I can't complain. It wasn't doing any good anyway.
Greg, are you still in Oregon?
Yeah, no, I live in Southern California, brother.
Where?
Yeah, in Lake Elsinore.
Shit, we live an hour from each other.
Well, there you go.
You know what? I'm in Yucaipa.
Yeah, that's close. Yucaipa burning down yet?
I tell you what, it was close. The whole town smells like a campfire.
But Greg, David was telling us that you were greatly influenced by him.
Yeah. That's true, because I was 23 and he was 9, and I was always anxious to learn from a 9-year-old.
So anyways, here is what it should have worked a little bit smoother, but I got to give Greg some Skype lessons. Wasn't quite working, but we got you on here, Greg.
Okay, I'm on. I don't see anybody but you guys.
Do you see David?
Yeah, I saw David. Is he still around, or is he just a figment of one of your imaginations?
David is still here. This isn't going
Okay.
exactly how I pictured it. David was telling us about he saw a band called 1-2-3-4
Yeah.
at the YMCA.
Yeah. Look at all those numbers and letters. Do the math.
But
that's great.
so Greg was the one, David, that gave me the whole lesson on the Inland Empire. That's how I first kind of really got to know about it. And when I started talking to you, I was able to connect more pieces because, wait a second, this is all, the same area as Greg. So
Greg invited me, I think it was 2010 or something, and I drove down. It was nice. God, that's the first time I saw those people in years.
Well, it's cool that you guys.
There's Dave up there in the top. Hi, Dave.
Greg, what the hell?
Yeah, we had a hoot at the 09 Jam. We had a bunch of drummers in the back room. We had a guy from Three Dog Night. What's his name, Dave? I forgot it.
Oh, good God.
Yeah, him.
The black guy.
Yeah.
Oh.
It'll come to me in the middle of another sentence. And
Go ahead. I'll look it up.
Oh, man, that's weird. Like, it's weird when you get older. What it is, it's not dementia. It's you got too much information going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
I have a picture with you, me, and Greg, me, and that guy. Oh, man.
Oh, Hal Blaine was there, too.
Oh,
that would be awesome.
Wow.
His nephew.
Did you get his book?
Yes.
I got his book, and he signed it, so I'm cool.
Yeah, you guys, these young drummers here, they know who Hal Blaine is, right?
Yeah.
I do. The Wrecking Crew played on every song in the 70s that became a hit. Yeah, 60s and 70s.
Ton of records. His nephew went to high school with me, a guy named Mike Kravitz. He was in a band called...
yeah, they were there, too.
I just rewatched the documentary about those guys. It's fantastic.
Oh,
Hey, is the drummer you're thinking of Floyd Chester Sneed?
So, yeah, Floyd Sneed.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah, good guy.
I love the Google machine.
Floyd. Right on.
Yeah.
That's a name you don't use a lot.
Right.
Ready, Teddy. We used to play at the Family Dog.
Okay.
And it was Fitz on keyboards, Jeff Nicholson, and Ted Trujillo, and me.
Okay, you know who I just talked to? I talked to another drummer. I don't know. I think you might know him. Mickey Burton. He used to play with Pete Sampson. You remember him?
No.
And he talked all about going to that Family Dog and setting them with the most killer band he ever heard in his life. And I thought maybe it's some of the guys that you were working with.
Well, it was a good band. I don't know what year he went.
No, well, he mentioned all you guys, and it must have been some sort of connect there.
Yeah,
but he was with Pete Sampson all during that time, and Pete was, trying to make a go at it, and he was they were all down in Texas doing that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, Mickey's a good guy. Did you happen to meet him at the 09 Jam?
You know what, man? With my drummer ears and what your mic on your computer, I'm having a hard time understanding what you're saying, bro.
Oh, well, it's been that way for years, hasn't it?
Absolutely. No.
Hey,
Okay, he had Mickey Burton was at that jam in 09, the drummer.
Oh.
Yeah, and Phil Kelly was there, and they were trying to put together a remake of Pete Sampson's old band. Of course, Pete's been dead, for 10 or 15 years now, but they came there to honor him, and they threw a band together, and he mentioned your name several different times about going to see you at a club in Riverside, and he said he named off the other musicians that were there with you, and he said it was a really great band. I just didn't know if you ever met Mickey Burton one-to-one.
Probably the face. I would remember the face, It involves Greg. He had my back, literally. Can I tell him the one about the Hat Factory, Greg?
Yeah.
Okay. Me and Sammy, at one point, played at the Hat Factory on the nights that Greg's band didn't. We were doing like the off nights, if you can believe that, at that place. There was like 2 off nights, right? Sunday night and Monday, I forget. Anyway, the short of it is, Sam and I would go down with his wife Betsy and go see Greg and the boys play because we dug the musicians. They're great. And I'm sitting in the audience and I'm thinking, bro, I'm going to go down to the corner liquor store and get a bag of chips or something. I'm hungry. We're drinking a Coke. And Sam goes, hey, bro, pick me up some. It was like we had change. It was like 50 cents or 35 cents. Back then you could buy a bag of chips for a dime. Anyway, I walk outside and this young black kid standing outside the door, and he goes, hey, brother, loan me 50 cents. And I was not intimidated by blacks. I grew up around a lot of them. Whatever, you know, and here I'm in the hat factory, for Christ's sakes. And I held out my hand and said, dude, I only got like 35 cents. I'd give you some. I'm going down to the store to get some chips, right? Like I was fell off the turnip truck. This guy cold cocks me in the temple. I go down, I'm knocked out, and his buddies start stomping on me. I mean, like, I found out later that I had a cracked rib. The way I found out was just by dumb luck, but my chest hurt. Anyway, I got up, I yelled, I said something, they all took off. I get up, I'm bleeding, I'm sort of like freaked out. Greg is standing by the door, I think, or near inside the door, and this young black guy looks at me and says, what happened, man? Are you all right? And I'm like going, I had long hair, you know. I pull my hair back and go, dude, I just got jumped. And the guy, bam, hits me right in the mouth. And that guy went in the club. Now tell me if I'm right, Greg. Greg kicked him in the ass as he walked in the club. And then Greg's on stage. I go back into the club. Now Sammy has a warped sense of humor. He goes, bro, where's my chips? I pull back my hair and he starts to laugh. He's like, Betsy, look at bro. You know, I wasn't bro back then.
Yeah.
So yeah. I left. I'm hurting. I had a busted eye and everything. And I found out that later the guy got up on stage and punched Greg. And we both had black eyes for about a week. All right?
The hell are you guys hanging out?
This guy had my back, though. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, well, I'd always do that, man. But
Jeez.
You know that guy that came up and punched me, man. That was with Angie and Bobby and James Felix. So that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Big Lung and the Breathers. That was the name of that band.
That's what it was. You guys were killing, man. He was with this all Mexican band, and
to add to that story, I forgot that you were on the front end of it. I wonder why I kicked that guy in the butt. Because ordinarily I wouldn't do that, but I didn't like to see you get picked on. So then the guy came in and he walks up the stage and punches me right in the face in the middle of a song. And we were playing the Chicago song, California. What was it? Anyway, it was a da 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 dum.
Oh yeah.
I just stopped playing, and Bobby and Angie and James, man, they all three turned around, looked at me like, "What? What's going on, man?" I'm sitting there holding my face, you know, with the blood coming out of my eye. But here's another candle on that cake. That was the only night my mom had ever gone out to see me play somewhere local in years. My dad brought her, and she was there, and my dad and my mom watched me take it in the face by some guy in the club.
God.
Oh man, fate is a really weird deal.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Wow.
Greg, I don't know about how you were with the draft, but years later I went for an induction physical or something. And they did an x-ray of me or whatever, and the doctor said, did you ever break a rib? And there was like a, you know, it wasn't what you call a compound, but those motherfuckers kicked me so hard in the back that it cracked the rib that goes to your sternum. I had you know, I remember when I'd be with a chick and she'd get on top, they'd go like, oh, no.
Yeah, there was some rough territory over there, man. There was a bunch of fights all the time over there. But, you know, that and the winos outside. You come outside at daylight, the whole place is surrounded by winos that have been drinking that, you know, Spodioti and a Night Train Express, you know, that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And it was, I mean, wow, it was quite an adventure.
It was a ghetto.
Yeah. But Joe was giving us a place to live for free, our whole band. We lived in a big house rent-free, And that's what we were trying to do, man. We were trying to scramble ourselves together and get something, get something appreciable and get out there and get in the mix of it, and the best we could and hold the band together. So it was quite a chore at that time.
I never knew that, Greg. I didn't realize that Clure did that for you, because we were making like $20 a piece or some stupid thing,
Yeah.
It was all the
Joe Clure was one of the tight-fistedest guys I ever saw. Man, he'd make $100 for 8 hours work, the whole band. Not
exactly. That's what it was.
And then he would deal it out to you like $1 at a time, like it was the last thing on earth he wanted to do was pull this dollar bill out and give it to you.
This was like
it's about 20 minutes to get paid $100.
This guy was an old white retired private eye or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like he was a nice guy. I remember Sam used to do an impression of me. He says, "Oh, I'm having a bit of what did he used to say? Like, he would complain about not having enough money to pay you. He had like a catchphrase, like, "Oh no, things are tight," whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That was just one of the clubs among many, man. Those places over in San Bernardino too. I mean, those were rough places. Did you ever play any of the San Bernardino clubs?
Oh, me and Sam, we started the nightclub. And
did you play in the one that blew up that night?
No, the Mine Shaft.
Mine Shaft. The guy puts the bomb in the bathroom and
Larry Taylor.
Sink, blows the whole place up.
And Alan Henniger and Larry Taylor and Sammy were doing a trio. And Sam said when the thing blew up, someone put dynamite in the bathroom.
Yes.
Sure, why not?
So the Summer was in the bathroom.
Yeah.
I don't know how it didn't kill him, but Sam said,
they had those big Bob Lulai speakers for PAs. The things fell over on them.
The powder from all the drywall was on him, but then the blood started to creep through.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
That's just a typical night on the club scene in the Inland Empire.
What happened to the California?
Any Saturday,
Peace and love, man. Peace and love.
Let me ask you something. Okay. Now, Greg, he's tired of hearing this, but I was 14. I was going in. I was checking out the pussy when I was a kid. We didn't call it that, but it was the Y Dance on Friday nights. And you were the first drummer I ever saw in my life live. Do you realize that? Like, I went in there. You pay, what was it? What did it cost to get in there? Was it free? I can't even remember. But you go there to meet girls and you dance, and they'd have bands. But Greg's band was the first time I saw a band. And the song you were playing was "It's Just Like Me" by Paul Revere and the Raiders.
Wow.
I remember that. And I remember you had long hair and this beautiful old Gretsch kid. That's all. I mean, that's enough right there. And your guitar player had that Thunderbird or Firebird Gibson.
Wow.
That's a great guitar.
These guys got money, man.
Yeah.
These guys got a Gretsch kit. Come on, I couldn't afford a Gretsch kit.
No.
Anyway, I didn't have drums. I didn't play back then, but I saw you and went, fuck, something about this is cool. So you ruined my life, dude.
Oh. Okay. That's what I'm supposed to do.
I could have been a contender.
Yeah. Done and done.
How much we can get into Alliance. When does the seed of Alliance begin?
Okay. The seed of Alliance starts with Gary Peel calling me up. He's in Boston, the town, and the band. And he's saying to me, this is like 1991. And he's saying, Dave, he didn't call me bro. Very straight laced, he doesn't swear, he doesn't drink, but he's a heart like gold. I love him. He's a brother. So Gary, he's like a Larry Reed, but only had his shit together. Okay. Gary calls me up, and he's saying Fitz isn't doing anything with Night Ranger. Fitz was out of Night Ranger, and he's saying, let's put together a band. I mean, the short of it is, he had the bass player from Pablo Cruz. Remember that song they had?
Yeah, Love Will Find a Way. They had a lot of stuff. My dad had all their 8-tracks. Put them in the Cadillac.
Good band. Like guitar player, the bass player was good. He was named Bruce something. He's since died. Anyway, so me, Gary, Bruce, And we got this chick named Amy Cannon, who Gary knew. He's probably doing her. Oh, I didn't say that.
Whoa.
She was hot. Blonde. She looked like Christina Aguilera, only more Anglo. Nice voice. So we went and did a demo somewhere in the Bay Area, and we put together a song with me, Fitz, Gary, and this singer. Well, it didn't work out, and so basically we lost a bass player and a singer. So I thought to myself, now, after the Sammy Hagar band disintegrated, guess who told me to get a hold of Robert Berry? Let's do the test. Who do you think said that?
It had to be Sam.
Plodner?
Plodner.
Sam didn't know who Berry was.
Okay.
So Berry had done his thing with Keith Emerson and Carl Palmer, 3. And Kolodner is the one, Kolodner was connected with Robert Berry. How about that? Again. So Kolodner had me and Jesse Harms check out Robert at a club in San Jose. This is before Alliance, so I got to just tell you how I met Robert. And Kolodner thought that Robert would be good with me and Jesse. And then Jesse didn't dig him, thought he was too white or whatever, thought his shit was too squeaky. A little bit, like Robert's really a progressive musician, really, like he played with Steve Howe and Keith Emerson, for Christ's sakes, So Jesse wanted somebody like, and I could dig where he was coming from, somebody a little bit more soulful, when I say soul, I mean a little bit more black, more blues. Mm-hmm. Robert not from a blues place at all, where me and Sam do, okay? But Robert's really talented. He plays like 30 instruments, and he sings and he records. He's fucking crazy. He's a decent drummer too, So anyway, I remembered him. I went, that fucking guy was good, and he sang and played bass, and he liked it. I remember talking to him and say, I hear you play piano. I used to play keyboard in your band Hush, because I like playing bass and singing. I just started thinking, who likes to play bass and sing? God, that's a bitch. So I told Gary and Fitz about him, and we met, and Sam was cool. He's in Van Halen, and now remember, I did all that recording with Sam in the basement. So me and Gary were in the Sammy Hagar band, so we knew our way around the studio. So Sam gave me the keys to his house and said, bro, you guys just don't play past 6 o'clock. The neighbors will get pissed off. And we got together with Robert, Fitz. There was one other guy we tried out. I won't go into it. Somebody from Boston. He was a good guy. But again, he was a guitar player, and somebody was going to have to play bass. So I said, look, this guy's a great musician, plays bass, and great voice, It clicked. So right then and there, we wrote songs, and it was like an audition. We were auditioning him. I remember Fitz saying that he even admitted, man, I'm intimidated to play keyboard around this guy. He was in a band with Keith Emerson, you know what I mean? People were respectful, but at the same time, it was about chemistry. Is this going to work? So then we all wrote some songs, and we went back. Me and Robert flew back to Boston, and we spent a week with Gary in his studio. And I was like on an electric drum set. It sucked. I mean, it was okay, and Fitz was there, and we put together some of the songs that were on the first Alliance record, Bond of Union. And then eventually we got together. Now, this is before grunge hit. This is like 91, 92. Mm-hmm. So Pearl Jam and Nirvana and all that hadn't happened yet. And we had Bruce Cohen, Doobie Brothers, and Night Ranger's manager interested in us. Now, Fitz was with Night Ranger. There's that connection. So Bruce met with us. We took pictures. He shopped the band, and then grunge hit. And we were like old hat. Not that we looked old. I mean, that was 30...
Yeah.
It was 30 years ago,
Yep.
But anyway, so we decided to move forward on our own, and Robert had a connection from Keith Emerson with the European companies. So we did like small time, what do you call it? Not publishing deals, but indie companies.
Yeah.
Japan and Germany and England were like releasing Alliance records. So that's how I introduced Robert to Gary and Fitz. And from there, and then Robert had a recording studio called Soundtech. We did all our records there. It was like a slam dunk, you know.
Now, before I get into Bond of Union, during the 80s, did you stay in touch with Fitz at all while he was with Night Ranger?
Yeah, we did. We lived in the same town, and they did, you know, they did some tours with us. We weren't like tight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we kind of, you know, like we all, you know, it was a small world. Like the rehearsal places that were in San Rafael, Hun Sound, and Night Ranger rehearsed there, and Sammy rehearsed. So like I'd go over when we were rehearsing. I'd take a break, whatever. I'd go over to their hall. Hey Fitz, what's up? He was always fucking inundated with synthesizers and computers, and it's almost like he was more like a tech than a musician. I felt bad because, like, to me, it was like set up the drums and play. Yeah. You know, I know Brent, you were talking about getting like triggers and stuff like that.
Well, I got a roll. Andy and I both have rolling sets.
Yeah, I dig that stuff, and that's definitely a nice augmentation, if I can use that word for this. But there's a soul. Like, I'll give you a little thing on Fitz, a little dirt. When we formed Alliance, he wanted me to play all electric. And I said, Fitz, cool with the electric kick drum and toms. I had a Simmons kid. I said, there's something about a snare drum. If I get on Alex Van Halen's snare and play it, it sounds different. If Danny Carmassi plays my drums, it sounds different. There's a soul and an identity to the snare. And there's a dynamic that at the time, there's no way that electric drums were as cool as they are now.
Yeah.
You're still nothing can be as dynamic as a snare drum, I believe. I mean, and it's just organic. So I was kind of being old school about that, and we got in a fucking fight about it. Fitz actually said to me, you're really pissing me off. I go, dude, I'm just telling you. I mean, that grandfather thing came in a little bit, telling me what kind of drums I had to play. It was going to be a band. Don't tell me what fucking drums I'm going to play a fucking drum set, and I did.
You know, he's probably in that mindset when we all talk to guitar players. You know, like, hey, play the guitar. Well, the action doesn't feel right. We're like, whatever. That's probably what he was doing to you. You know.
Oh, I like playing electric drums. First of all, you don't have to work as hard. You just turn on the volume. You know, that's Alex Van Halen. That whole. See, the thing, I saw 5150. I saw like 6 dates, big shows, L.A., San Francisco. And Alex had a real snare drum at those Simmons. Yep. He had a real Ludwig or Yamaha, Walnuts, whatever he had, Bubinga. He always used a real snare drum, and I thought, I get it. That's what, I mean, I thought to myself, I get it, because I had a Simmons kid. And I actually used the Simmons on the VOA tour, but I used the triggers. I had triggers. I had this little thing that transferred the signal to an amp or a mixer. Yeah. So when we do heavy metal, they'd turn on the trigger and the bass drum would go goosh, you know, or the snare would go goosh. Mm-hmm. I used it combination, you know. But anyway, that's Fitz. He was a bit of, you know, he was stubborn, man. He was like, and I'm stubborn. I was like, I love you, and you intimidated me, but I ain't fucking playing those drums.
Do you remember talking to Fitz at all when he left Night Ranger in the 80s?
Yeah.
Was there anything you can talk about that's not too personal?
I don't know. I think he felt burned. He felt like they kind of like, I don't remember specifically, but the feeling I remember right now was the kind of thing where all of a sudden you're getting your pink slip. You know, I don't know. They had a meeting without him, I guess, and I don't know who called him. I don't know. I really don't know how he was let go, but
this is in the 80s, right? The classic era of Night Ranger.
Whatever the record he played on, it was, you know, like whatever tour. He went to Japan with them. He did, he was with them all through the 80s. I don't know when.
He was with them until probably early 88, probably somewhere in there is where, and there's different stories. That's where, you know, and I've actually,
first go around.
When I was young, I asked Fitz about it, and I would never ask that question now, being older, but it's just one of those, where we try to piece clues together, and because the story is more that he wanted to spend time with his family, and there's always, well, that's maybe not all entirely true.
I didn't get the feeling. I felt like there was a little bit of I don't want to say egos. There's more differences of opinion. Mm-hmm. Remember now, Jack, Brad, and Kelly are tight. They're like a fraternity. The outsiders are Jeff and Fitz brought Jeff in. So, and then you got Grandpa. You got the grandfather thing, like you got people that are like, it's just like they say, if you're going to be in a band, it's not how good you are, it's a lot of things. You get along with somebody on the road. Is that guy going to hole up in his room and read a book when you all want to go out and party and bang chicks? I'm not saying you're supposed to go out and fuck chicks. I was married on the road. I didn't go out. I didn't cheat on my wife,
Yeah.
It's temptation. But I went out and partied, that's for sure. On my night off, me and Church and Gary, we'd go clubbing and we'd sit in. I was crazy. I wanted to play. But Fitz would, no way. Socially, he was tough to be around.
All right. So Bond of Union, that was released in 95?
Was it that late?
This is the only era of Alliance I'm not quite sure.
You know what? You may be right, because
I didn't know if it was recorded earlier and then maybe eventually released later.
When you shopped it around.
You know what it is? No. We probably didn't finish the record when Bruce Cohen was shopping us. We had demos. I mean, we had one or two songs. I have to look back at my calendar, but yeah, you're probably right. Maybe it was more like, here's the deal. We did it piecemeal. It'd be the kind of thing where I could go in the studio and Robert would have a click track or a keyboard part or Fitz and a vocal. And a lot of those records, I recorded the drums and the bass and the lead guitar, and all the vocals were done later. So me and Fitz, and the band was only together like maybe twice all together, but it was always me and Robert, and mostly me, Robert, and Gary. And then Fitz with the computer would send, CDs or DVDs of information. So we did it from different parts of the country. That made it easy, but it also made things like, in other words, in Robert's spare time as running a studio, we put an album together. It wasn't like he'd go, hey, bro, David, I have 3 days in December. Can you come out? And I'd go, yeah. I'll make, Gary, can you come out? Whatever. So it took time because we were all different parts of the country. So maybe you're right. Maybe, I don't know, what's the release date on that,
That, like I said, that's just the one era that I'm not quite sure. Now, where I was introduced to Alliance would have been this album.
Okay, that was a compilation. Now, that right there, that's around 95.
No, well, this has the date of 1997, Escape Music, made in Great Britain.
Okay, here's the deal. That can't be right, because in 97, I was playing with Sammy and the Wabos. In 97, so...
It may have been released in 97, maybe not recorded.
That's exactly right. Yeah, because in 96, the year of 96, Sam was out of Van Halen. Mm-hmm. In his basement. We were auditioning people for the band, and he was doing demos for Marching. I did all the demos for Marching to Mars. And then he said, bro, you're going to be my drummer for the tour and whatever we do in the future, but I want to use Denny. I promised Denny he would do the record. I'm like, cool, whatever, whatever. I did all those. I demoed that out. So I was busy in 96. I would have remembered doing that record. My hair didn't look like that in 96.
Let me ask you two questions. It's one of those things I don't want to get too far ahead because I'll forget them.
Yeah.
Do you remember Fitz having any conversations with you about Night Ranger reforming in 1996? with the original members. Was that anything that you guys would have discussed?
That rings a little bell. It does a little bit, I think now. When did Watson get out of the band? When did they kick his ass?
So Night Ranger broke up, those four without Fitz, in the spring of '89, and then they reformed, Brad and Kelly, with a new bass player, Gary Moon, and they're doing their thing throughout the early '90s without Jeff.
Right.
And then in the middle of '96 is when they start to reform with Jeff and Fitz and Jack.
I vaguely remember that. Now I remember it because obviously with Shaw, Tommy Shaw and Blades was a
Shaw Blades.
Yeah, that would have been '95.
Yeah. So Eddie, I'm with Eddie at some concert, Van Halen. He called them Saw Blades. I almost said, yeah, he was with Saw Blades, right? Anyway, I forget. Yeah, you're right. So obviously with Damn Yankees and all that, there was no Night Ranger.
Well, there was. It was just without Jack.
Oh.
It was Brad and Kelly.
Okay, I remember now. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention to that, but I was, doing my own thing, trying to make a buck.
Yeah.
But
at that time, Fitz was playing Van Halen, wasn't he? Behind the curtain.
Fitz was Fitz was teching for Van Halen, and behind the curtains playing keyboards. Yeah, he did that for a number of years.
And I'm sure Sammy brought him into that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Sam is loyal. I mean, first of all, if you're comfortable with someone, you know them. That's it. Just saying, that's how it is.
And my second question of that same era is you were talking about Marching to Mars and how you demoed it but didn't play on it. And in the like the thank you section, you're listed there along with Fitz. What we just learned what you did on the album, you demoed all the tracks. What was Fitz's participation for him to get a thank you credit, or was it just something that he did out of loyalty? Or
I think he might have done some tech work for Sam.
Okay.
I think probably he came in and did something with the keys or a computer or something. That was Mike Klink on that session. I'll tell you one really quick story that I'm really excited about. So when I was in the studio with Sam in the demo studio, I really wanted to play on one song on the record because I demoed the whole record, right? Mm-hmm. And there was a song called "I'm Stoned" or
"The Yogi So High."
I played the fuck out of that. I have a demo of me playing that, and Denny did it different. He did a good job. But I don't know. I feel like no ego. I begged Sam. I go, Sam, I'll do it for free. Let me fucking play "I'm Stoned." And he goes, bro, knock it off. I told Denny it had nothing to do with cutting it or anything. I was playing great. I mean, Sam wouldn't ask me after Van Halen to play drums with him. I got my shit together in that 11-year period. I was in like 7 bands, whatever. I got my shit together. You guys can relate being drummers.
Yep.
But what did he do? He got, I'll end my time with this. I'll go a little over. Bootsy Collins, James Brown's bass player.
From
Cincinnati boy.
He just lives right down the road from me. Not too far.
He played on Do It For Free. The song Do It For Free, Marching Mars. I wrote a song called Soul Mining, S-O-U-L. I wrote a song and I brought it to Sam, and me and Jesse and Sam wrote it together. And I did it, and Jesse was teasing me. He says, can't make it on the record, so you write a song and then get on the record. So we demoed the song with Bootsy on bass. It was like it was like funky. It was like, then I played like a halftime thing. It was funny, tongue in cheek, It was talking about digging. It was a pun on you got to find yourself. You got to mine. You got to mine to find your soul. Anyway, so Bootsy in the studio, fuck, we started jamming on that James Brown shit. Sam and and Bootsy was smiling at me. I'm getting chills right now. That made my day. I'm fucking playing with James Brown's. We're playing Give It Up and Turn It Loose. Oh my God, the guy that did it. Yep. He was really cool. So
yeah, baby.
Nice.
He was fun. And he had this fucking ugly ass white guitar with about 30 knobs on it.
Yeah.
Through the console, it was like, and Clink is like, what's the fucking, gotta get rid of it. They tried limiting it. It was like wired by some crazy motherfucker. But the bass was noisier and shit. It sounded like a lawnmower or something, you know. But he was cool. He did that. He really played cool. But they made a copy of my song. It didn't make the record. I wish I had that. But Bootsy and before Denny showed up, and then Denny was like, oh, I want to jam with Bootsy, and Sam goes, bro already wore his ass out. He ain't gonna do that. You know? I was like, for this one, you know, whatever.
So anyway, was there actual demo recorded of that track?
It was on 48. We recorded it.
Okay.
I have nowhere. That's in some fucking closet at the record plant.
All right.
Sam owns it. Yeah. I wish I could get a hold of that. I mean, it wasn't a hit song or anything. It was kind of, people liked it. Sam liked it enough to let me record it. Yeah. You know? I mean, whatever.
That's cool.
Yeah. So Bootsy was really cool, man. He was like, he had his entourage. He was not an asshole. He was really fun.
Yeah.
And
did he know you were a Steelers fan?
What?
Did he know you were a Steelers fan? Because he's a huge Bengals fan.
Well, at the time, I wasn't. I was a.
Sorry, Josh.
I was a Green Bay Packer fan first, but my second wife, was diehard Steelers. I mean, when we played the Tonight Show, Bradshaw was on there with us when we did. I forget what song we played. I think it was Mas Tequila or something. Whatever. Backstage, I said to Bradshaw, I said, my wife is a diehard, and I said, man, please sign my thing. Maybe I'll get some tonight. It's funny. It's like, some of us are lucky. Bradshaw's had an autograph, to Liza, whatever. But yeah, she turned me, and they were hot when I went at that period, like the bus and everybody. Yeah. Wow, fucking, they had 6 rims. Come on.
Yeah, you can't argue with that.
I remember they beat Seattle. They beat the fucking
Seahawks, 2005. All right, why are we talking about the Steelers? I hate the Steelers.
I don't even know what they're doing now. I don't pay attention to. My new wife, we don't watch. I don't get to watch sports too much.
The Steelers are just a cause of disappointment in my life, being a Bengals fan. So
the Bengals are the cause of your disappointment.
Oh no, yeah. I mean that's.
What about Buffalo, man? Buffalo came. They've been doing good in the last few years, right? The Bills.
The Bills are the sister team to Cincinnati, with leaving people in disappointment. But I know you said you got dinner time coming up, right?
That's right, motherfucker.
All right.
Greg threw me. That threw me. I have to tell you that like I was like, well, it was like kind of like was flashback. It was the Twilight Zone.
Well, connecting, like the VCR's flash in 12. Yeah. And I was hoping just to be able to push buttons and connect, and that didn't work. But I just thought, what the hell? I'm gonna roll the dice here and see if I can get something spontaneous.
Hey, but he's never got to tell the story about the Velcro sleeves in his uniform.
Hey, I got to tell you guys, I got jumped when I was 19.
Those stories right there were worth the price of admission alone. If you never talk to me again, Dave, it was still worth it. Well, let's end it here, David. If you want to arrange something, I still want to talk Alliance, which was originally what this interview was for. But I'd still love to do some Alliance, in December, people.
Oh, and Dave, I'm sorry, I've got to jump on this, and my kid will kill me. I held up all your CDs. She's like, who are you interviewing? I'm like, well, this guy played on this song, and she knew the songs. And I said, oh, and he did some drum tracks on the Sims game. She went, oh, he drummed on the Sims?
The Sims.
She was.
Oh, my gosh.
She wanted to be here to ask you about the Sims, and she's not here tonight, so.
I remember that. That was me trying to make a buck. They make you sign up for it. If this stuff takes off, you're just getting paid for the session. You get no royalties. At the time I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
But now, Steve Smith and I played on that. I didn't.
Yep.
But, you know. I don't do this too much, but, like, I learned this the other day for fun. I don't know if you guys are hip to this.
I do not.
Paul Simon in the morning, was it Steve Gadd?
Oh, jeez. I've watched the video of Gadd breaking down 50 ways to leave your lover, and I'm like, well, I don't know why I try to play.
I had to learn it because I got online. I haven't been playing. I'll confess with you guys, but the whole where he's playing Mozambique. It's Mozambique is, you know, and he's the paradiddle freak, right?
Oh, okay.
He's playing the ghost notes on the stage, so he's going. And then he does around the kid. He's doing it like this, if you remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's going. I can't do this.
Now.
Yeah, but Brent and I can't do that, so.
There's a drummer for Saigon. There's a drummer in the band called Saigon Kick, and he took they have a song called On and On, and I was speaking with him years ago. I said, where did you come up with that drum beat? He said, oh, it's Paul Simon, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. He just played to how the music sounded like in the song. It's amazing.
Great. That's Steve Gadd.
Yeah.
Bad mofo. Next time we talk, if you're around, we'll talk about getting you not afraid of the metronome.
You know what I hate about the metronome?
What?
Is I don't know I'm off until I hear the metronome.
You what?
I don't know that I'm off beat until I hear the metronome, and then I'm trying to catch it.
Why don't you get on your drum set?
You don't hear that until you're
here's what I tell my students. Whenever you hear the click, always start a little slower than you think it is. And it's easier to catch up than it is. The worst thing is to slow down to a click. But if you're picking up, it feels natural. So if you hear that, you know, you always do that. I used to practice with the metronome to where if I didn't hear it, I knew I was on.
Right.
I gotta go.
All right.
What?
Hey, thank you very much.
You're awesome.
Anytime you want to come back and talk.
We'll talk flamadiddles and 5-stroke rolls.
Josh, just email me. I'm amenable to doing this. It's just the fact that we keep it within a time frame and make it.
Yep.
I think you liked it more than you thought you would.
It's got to be real.
All right, how about that? Another great interview by us, by Josh, David Lauser. How do you not love this guy? I mean, the stories, he's sitting there telling these great rock and roll stories. I don't know. We're lucky. We're blessed, and it's fun, and I hope everybody enjoys them as much as we enjoy being part of them. What do you think, Josh?
Well, it's great hearing those stories of, I lived with Jeff and Fitz and Night Rangers downstairs, and I'm listening to them rehearse and playing Trans Am by Sammy Hagar, and then
shit.
we hear about stuff that I had never heard that they held auditions for drummers for Damn Yankees, and
Yeah.
that's the first time I'd heard that, and it makes sense because Klodner was, influential in that first album, and Klodner obviously likes David Lauser. He's sent him on a few auditions, and so it was cool hearing that, and just the Eddie Van Halen stories, and just Sammy Hagar talking, just hearing Dave's story, just his career arc is great as well. And then
Yeah.
obviously our footage with Greg, that's the last footage.
No one else has it.
That's the last footage we have. That's what I had in the can, and
I think I was the only one that knew what you were up to when you were dialing him up.
And it's been edited down because it took us a few minutes to get it connected and going. So I've cut out, parts that are just.
And Dave couldn't have been nicer sitting there. We were just sitting there chatting away with him. I don't know about what,
Well, it's one of those things you plan. Okay, Greg, just call in and I accept, and within 2 seconds we're doing it. Well,
Technology
Greg
hurts sometimes.
It wasn't quite happening that way. So what I was hoping would connect quick did not. And but anyways, it was good that we were able to reconnect with Greg before he passed on. So if you're out there listening to this or watching this on the YouTube, click subscribe. If you are whatever platform you're listening to it, subscribe, and then track us down on the Facebook page. That's the headquarters of everything Night Ranger, Fans in Motion, all that good stuff.
Yep.
Just go to your Facebook page and there search just Night Ranger, Fans in Motion. Join the page. That's where everyone hangs out, chit chats, all that good stuff, and
ranks their songs, ranks their albums, ranks on each other. Don't forget Instagram. Josh is trying to get the Instagram up and going.
I don't know how much trying. I still got to post last week's podcast picture up there, and I just haven't done it.
People can search it out. They can like it. You can find us on, every podcatcher right now at this point. You got Apple Podcasts, you got Spotify, you got iHeartRadio, you got Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I missing, Josh? I know I should write these down.
Stitcher,
Audio Mac, iHeartRadio. They're all there. If you go to fansinmotion.com, real simple. If you go there, the homepage has the 3 newest episodes. If you go to, listen or podcast or something, it'll have all the podcasts on the website. And if you go to whatever the next one is, listen, it will bring up a page that has every platform there. And you can just click Pandora, iTunes, whatever. iHeartRadio, and you can listen to it wherever you like. So
if you don't have the time to sit and watch the video podcast, if you're like Brent and I, who are huge podcast listeners, I put my AirPods in, and like today I was talking to Josh. I was building a bookcase here at Stately Parker Manor, and I'm just listening to podcasts. I don't have time to sit and watch them. I just listen. So check us out on all the platforms. Brent, what do you got to say, buddy?
Yeah, I don't know how to take this raise a hand off here, but I'm going to ask something stupid, but I think other people will not know the answer to this as well. So if you're on the Instagrams doing the Fans in Motion, Josh, if you post something on there or comment on there, does it transpose to Facebook and back and forth?
Because there has to be a way to do it, but we're way too old
I don't know.
I don't. We need one of our kids to do it for us.
I don't know about if you comment on a picture I post.
Oh yeah.
But I think, and someone else can answer this, but I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's from Facebook. Maybe it's only from Instagram. But you should be able to post something, and it go to all your platforms.
Right. But I just didn't know if the content that the people are giving back transposes to
I don't think that happens
because I don't get on Instagram. I don't have an account. I don't have Twitter. I don't have any of that. I just have Facebook.
Use Eric Levy for example. He'll post his keyboard jams on both platforms. you can comment on either one, but they don't. If you comment on Facebook, it doesn't. If you're talking about that, our comments don't show up on Instagram.
Okay.
And hey, let's
versa.
with that, we will end our episode of Three Guys Who Don't Know How Instagram fucking works.
Get off my lawn.
Andy, sign us off.
Thank you, everybody, once again from all of us, me, Josh, Brent, Andy, Fans in Motion. You guys are the best. We'll see you next time.
Hey, Brent, you gave Japan a kiss. What about everybody else?
I did. I told everybody I loved them all. You're beautiful, people.